Coming up on this edition of the ZTV Sports Report, Caleb Porter's guys try and get him his 100th career win. Was the men's soccer team successful?
And the women's soccer team played host twice this weekend. Were they able to pull out a pair of wins on their home turf?
And it was the weekend of women, with the volleyball team also hosting 2 matchups. Could they continue their momentum after last week's Kent State sweep?
All that and more coming up on the ZTV Sports Report.
Welcome into the ZTV studios. It's the Sports Report back with you for another week of everything Akron sports. I'm Stacy Salvi along with DJ Johnson.
Now, while the football team got a break in their bye week, we certainly did not.
No, we did not. Still on the roster for us this week, 2 men's soccer games, 2 women's soccer games, and, you guessed it, 2 volleyball matchups.
The contest began with the Penn State Nittany Lions rolling into town, where scoring ace Darren Maddox netted the game's only goal in the 25th minute.
That win improved the men's record to 9-1-2 and increased their home unbeaten streak to 45 games.
Saturday night brought the Hartwick Hawks for the 11th meeting between the two teams.
Akron went into the matchup with a 7-1-2 history against the Hawks. Could they make this win number 8?
Akron comes into this one 10-1-2 on the year, and of course unbeaten at home. I smell 46 straight, Stacy. The Zips came out firing as the Jamaican sensation Darren Maddox would get a chance early, but can't find the back of the net. More from him later. The chances would keep coming for the Zips, but none of the 8 first-half shots could get through the Hartwick D, as only one of those shots was on goal. At halftime, it's all knotted up at 0. But the Zips, there's no other way around it, dominated the rest of the way, putting 9 of 19 second-half shots on goal, and one of those, come on, is bound to go in, as Aiden Quinn finds Thomas Schmidt, who does the rest. Zips lead in the 66th minute on Schmidt's 3rd of the year. And as promised, Darren Maddox gets behind the keeper, and it's all good from there. Score a goal, give a shout out to the girlfriend. Akron wins in convincing fashion, 2-0.
Akron outshot Hartwick 27-2 on the night. Goal scorers Darren Maddox and Thomas Schmidt, as well as head coach Caleb Porter, spoke after the game.
27 shots to 2. We completely dominated the possession. I thought our pressure was suffocating all game long. They hardly had a kick.
We couldn't find the back of the net, and we were just pushing and pushing. And Aiden played me a good ball, laid it off to him, he slipped me in, and I put it in the back of the net, and it was just a relief for our team that we finally got the goal late.
To be honest, I got to give that goalkeeper a lot of credit because he was so quick off his line for all the passes through. But I mean, I'm a goal, I know that he was going to come off the line, so I chipped him and just put it in the back of the net.
Log on to ZTVsports.com for all the Akron coaches' press conferences, including Rob Ionella's leading up to this week's matchup against Ohio.
ZTVsports.com also brings you every episode of the Sports Report, as well as recent blogs and posts.
You know, Caleb Porter's a pretty impressive guy.
That he is. It seems every time I turn around, he's breaking another record. Do you know he has more wins than any other active NCAA coach?
In fact, I did, in only 6 years as head coach of the Zips.
And Saturday night turned out to be a big night for Coach Porter. Let's check it out.
Hey, Rowdy! I believe! I believe! I believe that! I believe that! I believe that we have won!
Caleb Porter has hit the century win mark. And the 2-0 win over Hartwick seems like just the beginning for the recently named under-23 Olympic coach. Porter is the fastest in Division I history to hit triple digits, doing it in 126 games, all in the blue and gold. Porter continues winning with few familiar faces from last season, but makes it clear the expectations are still the same.
You know, a win is good, but winning a championship is what we're looking for. So this isn't anything necessarily that meaningful. It's just another step along the way.
The man is already a legend. Good thing we have him locked up for 9 more years.
Gotta love that security. But it wasn't all good news for the Zips as they headed up to the University of Michigan Tuesday night and fell 1-0 in overtime.
Despite David Mavis's 9 saves, the Zips could not generate a goal in 97 minutes as Michigan converted a rebound to take the win. Zips take their second loss on the year. Wolverines improved to 5-10-1.
Now to catch us up on where the Zips stand in the latest NCAA rankings, we send it to David and Dee at the Zips Update Desk.
Welcome to Zips Update, and thank you for joining us. I am excited to get on our way, and I'm sure you are too, Dee.
Yeah, I'm excited to be here, man. So let's get the ball rolling.
Well, let's move right along into it and get started with this week's top 10 for NCAA soccer.
We begin with number 10 Charlotte, who currently have a record of 10-2-1 on the year. South Florida comes in at number 9 with a record of 9-2-2. They are followed by number 8 UCLA, who have a record of 10-3-1. Number 7 and number 6 are UC Irvine and Creighton, who are the only two teams that crack the top 10 but don't have a number in the tie column. They are at 12-3 and 11-2, respectively. Charlotte and South Florida are the only new teams in the top 10 this week. But honestly, it seems like most other teams will either juggle around the rankings or stayed in the same place. But other than that, not much shifting in the top 10 this week.
Jumping into the top 5, New Mexico sits in the 5th spot, who has a comfortable record of 11-0-2. They are the only team that has not lost a game all season. Number 4 are our Akron Zips, who were upset on Tuesday by the University of Michigan 1-0 in overtime. The record is 10-2-2. The Terps are still sitting at number 3 this week, 13-1-1. Number 2 is North Carolina, who are 11-1-1 on the season. And finally, the undefeated Huskies were finally beaten by unranked West Virginia, 1-0. Their record is 13-1-1. Because Akron and Connecticut lost this Tuesday, it looks like they are going to be moving down in the rankings, especially Akron, who lost to Michigan, and they were 5-10-1 on the year.
Well, I'll give props to West Virginia. They were able to do something that no one else in the NCAA has been able to do, and that's knock off UConn after a 13-game winning streak.
It will be interesting to see where these two teams end up, to see where they are in the next week's polls. And for the second straight week, Darren Maddox has been named MAC Player of the Week. And it seems like every show we've had, an Akron player has been named MAC Player of the Week.
Well, it does seem that way, and I'm going to give a congratulations to Darren Maddox because he really deserves it. That's an impressive accomplishment. But I wonder if he will make it a hat trick next week.
Well, we'll see. So now, ladies and gentlemen, it's that time again. It's something you've been all waiting for. We're talking about Zips Trivia.
Yes, sir, and this week won't be an easy one for you. Prior to James A. Rhodes Arena, where did the University of Akron basketball team play? Stay tuned for the answer and women's soccer coming up after the break.